Continuing the theme of uneffing ourselves, this idea of how we can uneff ourselves so that we can uneff the world, right? That we are not acting in isolation. I think 2026 is about moving from what can I get to what can I give? How can I be of service? Altruism is the most powerful force in the universe. And so often when we're getting towards the start of a new year and we're thinking about our visions, we aren't thinking altruistically. We're not in that mindset of how can my intentions, my vision board, my plans be for the betterment of the collective. And yet, if we understood how it all really works, we'd understand that wanting more for others is actually how we end up with the life of our dreams. And this feels like it is sorely lacking in the landscape of the world that we're currently living in, which is pretty fucked. No one, I think, is going to argue with that. It is a time where most of us who have any kind of sensitivity or sense of connection to the greater good are wondering what the F is happening. And this feeling does not mean that we are powerless or that we have to hide or run away from it, but rather actually, how can we shift our individual perspectives, especially at this time of like planning for the new year and thinking about what we really want to see, is that individual good will not get us to collective well-being. We got to be thinking what is in the benefit of the collective, which will then lead to individual good, right? It's a complete turning upside down of how we've been taught in this capitalist colonialist model to intend, to plan, to vision. And I invite us all to shift into that beginning point of starting with the collective, because altruism is the missing ingredient. Altruism is the lubricant to bring us all of the things we desire. So moving into that, what can I give? How can I be of service? What do I want for the greatest good? This collective. And I am really excited about the possibility of this because it is what I have been doing in the 11 or so years that the Institute's been around through the lens of intuition. What does intuition have to do with moving from individual gain to collective good? Well, here's the thing. When we're working with intuition in the way that the Institute teaches it, we're moving into non-locality. And that non-locality is demonstrating to us that we are one with the one mind. We are all part of, inherently interconnected to this unified field of consciousness. Nothing we do happens in isolation. Even if our ego makes us feel alone, separate individual, we are one. We are one consciousness. We are one collective energy. And intuition at this level, as intuitive intelligence, is what brings us home to that truth. What we're seeing in the world today is like the cancer cell in the body. It is working against, all these individual cells are working against the greatest good of the body as a whole. The body as a whole is being undermined by these cells that are behaving selfishly. They're behaving in isolation, and it is bringing down the health and well-being of the entire body. And we don't want to be the cancer cell in the body of humanity. We want to be that healthy contribution that is bringing well-being to the collective, because there is no way that one of us gets to have it, the best possible life and the rest of us are suffering. We are seeing this everywhere, right? That individual action in isolation from collective good is causing us all to suffer. We are all in suffering because of that. And so our shift to intuition, to live with intuition, is to live as part of that awareness of collective well-being and to contribute that collective, or to that collective well-being, through our individual actions. We tap into the unified field, we tap into the one mind that contains all time, all space, and suddenly we have a flow state, a state of being that is in constant flow with these high vibrational frequencies. We are living a life that is congruent, aligned, exciting, joyful, because we've moved into communion with that higher part of ourselves. And we are then benefiting the collective. Every time we move from littleness, isolation, separation, ego thinking into that expansive, non-local intuition, we are making a better world for everybody. Intuition really fucking matters. It matters because it is the language of oneness. It is the antidote to the suffering of separation, of isolation that we are all currently living in right now. So we are equipped within us, the biology is within us to be connected to this unified field. It is our birthright. It is not special. It is not magical. It is what we are all entitled to. And as we connect to this, we increase our inner authority. We trust ourselves more. We feel bolder in the actions that we can take. We don't feel paralyzed by looking out at a scary world and feeling like we can't make a contribution. You are absolutely here at this time on this planet because your contribution matters. So what are you going to do in 2026? Continue business as usual, just setting your own personal goals, making your own plans in isolation from the collective good, or shifting to that idea of how may I be of service so that you inevitably inherit everything that you desire for your own life because you simply shift the starting point. And the way we do that is to connect to that non-local intuition, to remember, to feel, to embody the truth of our oneness, and to pay that forward into the world. This is how we change the world, and it is exactly right now that those who can lead must. Those of us who are free enough, if you're on Instagram, if you're watching this, if you are hearing my voice, you are someone who is free enough to make the world better for others. And it's simply about getting over this idea that anything we do is happening in isolation. So non-local intuition is that starting point, that reconnection to that unity consciousness that shows us through an embodied state of being, a way of life, that we are one consciousness, and that we can change what we see outside of us by changing what is within us. Intuition is also the starting point of that spiritual fierceness or that spiritual self-esteem, which allows us to trust ourselves, to back ourselves, and to boldly go towards knowing that we can make a really significant contribution. We are not doing this work for ourselves alone. And every time we show up to increase access to our intuition, we are doing that on behalf of the collective. That is how the laws of the cosmos work. It cannot be any other way. And so I invite you, as you go into your 2026, don't wait for someone else to tell you what kind of year it's going to be, what the planets are telling you, what the star signs are suggesting. You decide, is this the year that I get out of the way and let my vision for a world in which we all thrive be the dominant vision that I hold, knowing that it is the law that I will then personally benefit, because there cannot be any other way. To give is to receive. Let's make a decision now to be part of that collective change that is waiting, that we are primed for, by getting over the fear that we don't have what it takes. Together we are better, and we are never separate. That is the truth. And we have everything we need right now. So I encourage you, see what happens if you do set your intentions, your goals, connect into the energy of your 2026 through this paradigm of how can I be of service? What can I give? Not what can I gain? And see how your life becomes more aligned, more joyful, more successful than you could have ever imagined if you started the other way around. So much love to you all. Blessings to the end of the year for you, and the most glorious start to 2026. Let's do better. Let's do it together. So much love.